All right, now in the latest on the possibility of Americans jumping into this war between Iran and Israel, the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt read out a passage from Donald Trump stating that he'll be making a decision on whether to join this war or not within the next 2 weeks. Remember, the war has already dragged on for 7 long days. In a war, 7 days is a lot of time. And now the American president, who was supposed to make some kind of a decision imminently, has said that he'll be making a decision within the next 2 weeks. Listen in.
Regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks."
Now, Caroline Leavitt also added that Iran was only a couple of weeks away from gaining a nuclear weapon. Now, Donald Trump has not given any clear indication so far of the American military's involvement. And this, of course, is an interesting statement by Caroline Leavitt, where she's now stating that Donald Trump will make up his mind and will make his decision whether to join this war or not in the next 2 weeks. All right, now to give us more perspective as to what this may mean for the war between Iran and Israel at the moment, we're joined by Mr. Alex Trayman. He is the CEO at the Jerusalem Bureau Chief of the Jewish News Syndicate. He's joining us live from Jerusalem. Mr. Raymond, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. And let me, in fact, ask you to weigh in on the statement that has come in from the White House. There's been a lot of speculation whether the United States of America, under Donald Trump, will join this war on the side of Israel to take on Iran. And now the White House says that he'll make up his decision in the span of the next 2 weeks. What do you make of this?
Well, I want to get to that in 1 second, but I want to correct what you said before. There were 480 ballistic missiles fired from Iran to Israel. Those are not slow-moving drones. They get from Iran to Israel over 1,500 kilometers in about 12 minutes. They have 1-ton warheads on them. They're not slow-moving drones.
The ballistic missiles are not slow-moving. The ballistic missiles are not slow-moving, but the drones are different. We're talking about drones which are different from ballistic missiles. Ballistic missiles can cover that distance within 300 seconds.
Ballistic missiles. Missiles. But with regard to which is the largest amount of ballistic missiles ever fired at a country in the history of warfare in a short period. Now, aside from that, the big question that you asked about the president getting involved in the next 2 weeks, Israelis here seem to believe that the United States will at some point get involved. However, what we've seen so far is that the conflict has been isolated between Israel and Iran, and there's certainly the fear that if the United States gets involved, that could involve not only the United States, but also other countries in the region. Meanwhile, we've seen that Israel's been very successful in hitting the military targets with precision accuracy inside Iran, and they believe that they have all the tools that they need to take out all the sites, including the nuclear sites like Fordo, and have even said that they believe that they can target the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei.
Right, now we'll get to the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in just a bit. But the fact is, even the Israeli Prime Minister has indicated that he would like the United States of America under Donald Trump to join in this war. Now, what is evidently clear is that despite the Israelis having targeted the nuclear facility at Fordo, the IAEA in its assessment has said that it has sustained very little damage simply because of the fact that it lies several meters under the ground. So, with Donald Trump now saying that he'll make up his mind in the next 2 weeks, do you think this goes against a certain calculation that Netanyahu had made when he started off with his Operation Rising Lion, where he would start off this war and he had hoped that the Americans would join in, but the Americans, even though it's 7 days, are still busy making up their minds?
Well, there was a lot of transparency direct communications between Israel and the United States ahead of this operation. So I believe that Netanyahu understood that there would be a chance, but not a guarantee, that the president would come in and join this war. But the prime minister and others here in Israel have assessed that they have ways of hitting the underground Fordo nuclear facility, even without the type of bunker busting technology that only the United States has. And you could see at some point various commando raids that might bring a bomb inside this facility before it be exploded, as opposed to having it drop from the top overhead. So we have to wait and see exactly how long this campaign is going to take, where Fordo comes on the priority list of targets, and then, of course, whether the president will get involved. He said it will be within the next 2 weeks. That could also be within the next 2 hours.
Right, that's something we'll have to wait and watch, as to how soon President Donald Trump can, of course, make up his mind. But if I were to ask you to weigh in on this, the fact that it is day 7 of this war, why do you think the American president is being a little indecisive here?
Well, he's waiting to see whether he thinks that America has to come in order to finish the war off. Based on the success that Israel's reporting so far in terms of hitting its targets, in terms of mitigating the hits to the Israeli home front, perhaps the belief is that Israel can finish the job it started by itself. And if they can do that, it's probably best for Israel's own position to emerge in the region as the regional superpower, as opposed to having to rely as heavily on the United States.
All right. Now, I also want you to weigh in on a report that has appeared in the Wall Street Journal, which says that the Israeli air defense systems are beginning to run low on their interceptor missiles. And even the United States of America, which supplies these interceptor missiles, does not have these interceptor missiles in the quantity that would be sustainable for the Israelis to continue defending their airspace for longer than 10 to 12 days. 10 to 12 days is a long time in a war. How do you see this situation unfold?
Well, what I would say is, first of all, the Wall Street Journal's reporting on this leading up to the conflict hasn't always proved itself to be correct. I'm certain that Israel has come up with all the scenarios, and in terms of what they expected, even when they have received over 480 ballistic missiles, which come at a speed of Mach 14, some of them, the larger ones, that Israel prepared to be able to absorb well over 1,000 ballistic missiles. Now, Israel also believes that the best defense is an offensive strategy to take out the missile launchers of Iran. Netanyahu this evening said that Israel had successfully taken out over 50% of the missile launchers, which means that even if Iran has the missiles to fire, there's a bottleneck in terms of their ability to fire them. And the Israeli Air Force is constantly surveilling Iran and trying to take out the missile launchers as they're being fired to reduce the number of missiles that Iran has the capability of sending at Israel.
Right. Now, at this moment, the United States of America has said that it is also moving its 3rd aircraft carrier, USS Gerald Ford, to the Mediterranean. USS Nimitz is also making its way. The fact that the Americans are mobilizing their resources at a time when this hot war is unfolding, a lot of military experts are indicating that perhaps Netanyahu rushed into this war without first letting the Americans mobilize enough so that he can have their support if he were to need it. Do you think this is what has happened?
No, I think that it was very important for Israel to strike with the element of surprise. If the United States had mobilized 3 aircraft carriers and moved them to the region ahead of time, then the Iranians would have understood that the attack was about to begin. So I think that all these battle plans have been communicated. Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer, former ambassador to the United States, is talking on more than a daily basis with his counterparts in the United States. The battle plans were all shared with the Americans. The timing was shared with the Americans.
Right.
And I think that all is really going more or less according to plan, even though this is a war and it's very volatile and things can go dramatically wrong. But so far, Israel reporting that things are going according to plan, if not better.
Right. It's interesting that you're saying that Israel says that things are going according to plan, because the fact is the cities such as Tel Aviv and Haifa and other places have taken a fair bit of beating from the Iranian ballistic missiles. This is something that has never happened in the last 7 decades of the Israeli history. Do you think the aura of invincibility that Israel had built up over the past military campaigns has been dented in this war?
I don't think so. I mean, certainly the air defenses are not hermetic. We're seeing that. I mean, Israelis are being barraged with as heavy missiles as we've ever seen here, and Israelis are running in and out of bomb shelters. But in terms of the amount of damage that Israel perceived or estimated that it could sustain during a conflict, it's been notably less than that. But the question will be what happens in 2 weeks from now. You know, if Israel has succeeded to win this war, then the invincibility will not have been dented. Of course, if Israel fails to achieve its goals and the nuclear program and the ballistic missile program and the regime of Iran are all in place, then of course that would be a major dent on the invincibility.
Right. Now, one of the statements that is coming from the Israeli leadership on and off, and in fact quite more insistently in the last 48 hours, is about taking out the Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He's 87 years old. There is a clear line of succession where there are names that are doing the rounds of who will replace him if he were to be assassinated. In your assessment, does assassinating Ayatollah Ali Khamenei serve any purpose at all for the Israelis?
Well, the purpose is to try to return the nation of Iran, which had a strong cultural pride, a secular pro-Western approach, to return that to the people, as we saw under the Shah before the Islamic Revolution of 1979. Any attempt on the life of Khamenei should also be targeting not only his political leaders and military leaders, which have already been hit, but also the successors, including Khamenei's second son, who's been apparently appointed as the heir apparent of Khamenei's reign. So certainly, you know, if you take out Khamenei, but the next heir apparent is just there to take the throne, you haven't really accomplished very much.
All right, we'll have to leave there. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Trayman, for joining us and getting us that perspective there.
Thanks for having me.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.